right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the second webinar in our Parent and Family webinar series for this fall semester. I'm so thrilled to be joined by some really great partners across campus who help support our students' academic success and well-being. I'm joined by Colleen Rogers, the Assistant Director of Academic Wellbeing, and Dr. Lori Jacobson, who is the Director of our Writing Resources Center, and some wonderful students who I know you'll get to meet here very soon. This session is being recorded, and this will be uploaded to our YouTube channel in approximately 2 to 3 business days. So it won't be available immediately tomorrow, but we will get it uploaded very soon so you can access all of the great information that I know our presenters will share this evening. If you do have questions for our presenters, please do use the Q&A feature in Zoom. There will be plenty of time for questions after our session, and I look forward to diving into those once they share a little bit more information about their programs. So at this time, I will go ahead and turn it over to our presenters. Thank you so much for being here with us, and I will be behind the scenes moderating our Q&A. So Colleen and Dr. Jacobson, I'll turn it over to you.
Alrighty. Thank you so much, Heather, and thank you for having us here to talk to all the parent and families today. Lori, would you like to go first, or would you like me to bring up ours first?
Have you go first, Colleen. That's great.
Sounds great. Alrighty. So first, I'd like to ask our wonderful Adrienne Kinsey to introduce herself. Go for it.
Hi, everyone. My name's Adrienne. I am a senior here at the college, and I've been working at the Tutor Zone for a little bit over a year now. I tutored as like a regular tutor last year, and now my position is a lead tutor. And so this means that I manage a group of about 20 other tutors, and I'm their first point of contact. If they have any questions about tutoring or logistics and things like that, we're really happy to be here today. Thanks for having us.
Alrighty. To get started, we just have a few slides. So I will go ahead and get those open. As you can see, we are the Tutor Zone. We are a part of the Academic Wellbeing office within the Dean of Students office. So our main office is located in the Sadler Center, whereas the Tutor Zone is located in Swem Library. Here is a QR code to access our website if you'd like to follow along or use it to inspire any questions that you may have. I'll give it just a second on that so folks can scan if they'd like. Alrighty. So at the Tutor Zone, our mission is to help students with their academic achievement, help retain them at the university, coordinate services with them and our trained peer tutors, and help them develop independent learning skills that they can take on to later courses, later jobs, things of that nature. Our staff is largely undergraduate peer tutors like Adrienne. They are all students who have wonderful GPAs and have done so well at the college thus far. All of our undergraduate peer tutors are CRLA certified or College Reading and Learning Association certified. And all of them have also received an A or an A- in every course that they tutor at William and Mary. We also have another section of our staff, which are our graduate academic coaches, and they work in our academic coaching program, helping students learn more general academic and life skills. It is not executive functioning coaching, but it does help with things like time management and organization. Tutoring is also completely free now, thanks to the generosity of the Parent Fund. After that announcement was made, we saw a 66% increase in our appointments, reaching almost 6,000 last academic year. And so far this September alone, we have reached 760 tutoring appointments, which is huge. So we're very excited to see where the rest of this year takes us. So we have 4 main services. The first is one-on-one tutoring. This is for a specific course. Students can sign up on our website, and it is a one-on-one setting with a trained tutor. We are not able to offer all classes because while a tutor has to have gotten an A or an A- in that course, for some of the higher level courses, it is hard to find that individual because a lot of people who have gotten A's and A- in 400 level classes have graduated. But if your student is looking for a specific class and can't find it on our website, please encourage them to reach out to us at tutorzone@wzu.edu. and that email will be on my last slide as well. We also have group tutoring, which is specific for our higher need classes, like the classes that we get the most appointments for. So those are organic chemistry, which Adrian is a whiz at, biology 203, introduction to physics, Spanish 203, and then economics 101. We also offer final exam review sessions that are very similar to group tutoring. Our third is time management consultations, where the student can meet with a peer tutor who has been trained specifically to be a time management consultation in a variety of different ways that student can manage their time and kind of help them walk them through to figure out what method works best for them. This is also great if your student wants to set up their planner or calendar with all the different things going on, but just doesn't know where to start. And then, like I mentioned before, we also offer academic coaching, which is a weekly meeting with a graduate coach for the length of the semester. So that can start really at any point over the semester, and they meet to go over goals for the week, the students' schedules, different assignments, and to build skills in time management, organization, note-taking, things like that. They're also a very good partner to have if you need someone to hold you accountable to meeting your own plan and things like that. And they're also great at motivation. So to schedule with our system, the website is tutorme.wm.edu, or if your student just goes right to the William & Mary website, they can click on the link right at the very top of our page. Setting up their first appointment makes their account, and then they just need to set a password to keep making appointments. If your student has any trouble with the scheduling system, please encourage them to email us and we will troubleshoot that with them. And here is our contact information. That is our email address and the phone number for Academic Wellbeing. All calls that go to Academic Wellbeing that are tutor zone related will go to me. So you are sure to get your questions answered through either one of those contact methods. Thank you. Adrian, would you like to share a little bit about your experience about what a tutoring appointment is like, and your role and as a group tutor as well?
Sure. So, like Colleen mentioned with the group tutoring, I'm also involved with the group tutoring. So she said these are weekly meetings and there are two tutors per class offered. So we have the 5 classes offered. These are our 5 most popular booked classes. So we've offered these weekly meetings to have it like a drop-in session in case people have a quick question or didn't manage to make an appointment that week. And so, like I said, there are 2 of us readily there for an hour and a half every week. Usually we have about 5 students who drop in, and it gets much busier during finals, as expected. Typical one-on-one appointments. So the students book these on their own, and then tutors receive an email notifying them of the appointment. When the tutee and the tutor meet, typically the tutor will ask, you know, how's the class going? How are you doing? What can I help you with? And we want our sessions to be led by the tutees, like by the students, sort of in a way of they're shaping how they want the appointment to go. So we're there to help, and we want to make the appointment go in the best way that the student wants it to go. So yeah, we're really there. There's not like a set plan for tutoring appointments. It's really whatever the student needs is what we want to provide. Yeah, and so I think that I really enjoy the group tutoring because a lot of the same people come, and even one-on-one appointments, a lot of the times you'll have the same tutees coming in at the same time every week, because you have the same availability and things like that. And so it's really rewarding when someone comes back and they show you a test or something and they're like, oh, look how much better I did on this. It's really neat to see that improvement over the course. So if your student's struggling, I'd really encourage them to check us out, especially now that our services are free. Yeah. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Adrian. All right, Lori, I'm passing the mic to you.
Thank you, Colleen. And Adrian, thank you for sharing so many great things about the Tutor Zone. The Writing Center lives right next door to the Tutor Zone. So we love to watch all the good things happening there. And we have noticed the increase in traffic. So I was introduced before. I'm Lori Jacobson, pardon me. I'm the director of the Writing Resources Center, which is located in Swem Library. And I'm here today with two of our peer writing consultants, Addison Dempsey and Amanda Mullet. Addison, do you mind introducing yourself first?
Hi, I'm Addison Dempsey. I am a sophomore. I was in last year's trainee class and now am a full-fledged writing consultant at the Writing Resource Center.
And Amanda.
Hi, I'm Amanda. I've been a consultant at the Writing Center for 3.5 years now, and I'm a senior, so my last year.
And Amanda just returned to us from a semester abroad in Oxford. So we're glad to have her back. So students who come to William and Mary participate in a rigorous liberal arts curriculum, and the goal of that curriculum is to cultivate their thinking, problem solving, and communication skills. And the Writing Resources Center is here to support student progress with programming, with resources, and with one-on-one support to help them become more effective and confident writers and communicators. And that one-on-one support is our primary program. And that's what Addison and Amanda spend their time in the Writing Center doing. They tutor students in writing, but their title is officially consultant. It's pretty common in writing centers around the nation to have tutors referred to as consultants. And I think the reason we like that term is our goal is for the students who come into the Writing Center to feel less like they're in a hierarchical situation where someone is going to tell them what to do, and more like they are in a conversation with a peer, where through that conversation, they can explore their writing, they can come to understand aspects of writing and the writing process better, and they can become more confident and competent self-editors. So that's the goal, and that's why we call them consultants, and that's why we use peer consultants, other undergraduate students in the Writing Center. We're a fairly busy writing center for the size of the institution that we're at. We do about 800 of these one-on-one sessions a year. Sessions last about an hour, and 800 sessions a semester, and sessions last about an hour. And it's really like this gift, right, where students can come in and they get this focused one-on-one attention on whatever they're working on in their writing. The thing they bring to us the most are academic essays. Students at William and Mary write quite a few academic essays, and they write them throughout their time at William and Mary. It varies a little bit depending on their major, but they do write them throughout their time at William and Mary. About half of the students who come to see us are first-year students, however, and that's partly because we think we're especially good at helping students transition from high school writing to college writing, and we really advertise that support. And students in their first year at William and Mary take 2 communication intensive courses. They take Call 100 and Call 150, courses that are taught across the curriculum and that require students to practice their communication skills. Call 150 is focused primarily on academic writing and helping students improve that writing. And Call 100 is communication in other modes. So faculty who teach those courses can be quite creative in the kinds of projects that they assign. I will add that we don't work only exclusively on writing. We work on other kinds of communication as well. So when a student has been assigned to create a podcast or a web page or a video, they can bring those in for conversations about how well they are communicating to an audience. Our consultants are other undergraduate students, and they come from across the curriculum. They come from many disciplines. So they aren't all majoring in English, which is sometimes a misunderstanding. I would say that Amanda isn't majoring in English, so we do have one of those. Other than that, Addison and Amanda, do you want to talk a little bit about who our consultants are and how you go about preparing to be a consultant?
Addison, do you want to go first since you've been doing the training process most recently?
Sure. So I applied to be a consultant in the fall of my freshman year. I had Professor Jacobson as my Fall 150 professor, and she really introduced us to the Writing Center and encouraged us to use it, and kind of was very inspirational to me. And so you apply, and then you get you do an interview. You have a writing portfolio, and you become part of a class. And so I think there were 16 people in my class. And so we all became trainees in the spring semester. We took a 2-credit RIT 399 training class about college composition writing. And kind of we've learned the theories behind tutoring, and not just like, it wasn't just a class teaching us grammar. It was a class about teaching us how to interact with our consultees and kind of how to make the sessions most effective. And then we started to have sessions in that, like around spring break time of the spring semester. We ended the class, and then in the fall we become full-fledged consultants. And so now I'm starting. I have 2 shifts a week, and it's a lot of fun, and I have a good time with it.
So I actually have the exact same origin as to how I got started. I was also in Professor Jacobson's Call 150 class. I applied the fall of my freshman year, got the training course started in the spring, and I'm a senior now, so that's been like 3 years roughly. We also have a mentorship program within our, consultant groups, wherein older consultants will become mentors for the trainees. And that process was really helpful for me, and it ensures that we are passing on what we know, and that as new trainees come along, they are well acquainted with sort of what we do, what our philosophy is, and sort of the common things that come up in a lot of consultations, because it's sort of a delicate art to work at these consultations as conversations. So that's something that I've really valued.
Thank you, both of you. The next thing I wanted to ask, I want to show everybody our website because I think that's a useful tool, but I do want to ask maybe first Amanda and then Addison, maybe to describe what a student would expect to have happen when they come for a consultation. Let's say it's their first consultation. What should they expect?
Yeah, so I do a lot of first-time consultations, especially in the fall. So if a student were to come in, they could come in at any phase of the writing process, whether that's as soon as they get an assignment sheet or on their last read through before submission. And we're happy to work with them with whatever they have, even if they're just in the brainstorming phase. So we would welcome student at the front desk, sit down, start talking to them about what the assignment is, what the class is, ask about rubrics, things like that, and then see what they want to focus on in the session. Some students have very specific concerns about things like grammar. Others have issues with citation formats, especially early classes like Call 150s. We get a lot of sort of thesis-based and argument-based consultations, and over the course of an hour, we sit and we have them usually read out loud their essay to us, paragraph by paragraph. And although some people are hesitant to do that reading out loud, we found that it's a really good way to keep us both engaged in the process, so that there's not one person sitting editing someone else's, and it's a good way to catch errors that are perhaps a little harder to see. And we really try and cater what we offer to what students are looking for and what they're most concerned about, especially in first-time appointments.
Kind of to go on to that, everything that Amanda said is very accurate to my experience. But I would also say that we, if you are a first-time student and you're feeling nervous about your appointment, you're more than welcome to tell your consultant that, and we we'll be as accommodating as you need. We can, change the way we do things because we really want it to be student focused. And so, if reading out loud makes you uncomfortable and you don't want to do that, we could always read it out loud to you, or we can alter our ways to do things. You just have to talk to us and let us know. That's something that a lot of people are apprehensive about, and that kind of they're worried about that session. And everyone here is very friendly and is more than welcome to, more than happy to make those accommodations in their style.
Yeah, thank you, both of you. I want to pick up on the thread of the conversation about worry and anxiety that came up a little bit. And I know that our colleagues at the Tutor Zone understand this too, that, anxiety about academics is a very real thing. And anxiety about writing anxiety is a whole category of anxiety. And one of the things we try to do is help students feel much more capable of the kind of work they have to do, to kind of get a sense of perspective about the assignment that they're doing, to recognize that they're growing and learning, right? That they're not expected to be perfect the minute they walk into the college classroom, and that they have support and resources all over campus to help them in their growth process. So we really think that we have great friends over there in the counseling center, but we think we do a really good job of helping students just feel more confident and competent and less stressed by their academics as well. I mean, look at you look at Adrian, Addison, and Amanda, friendly people who are going to smile and sit down with you and help you kind of tackle whatever challenge you have in front of you. It's really important to understand that the Writing Center is not a remedial service. We believe strongly that everybody benefits from feedback on their writing. Most writing out in the world is done in a group. It's beyond the academy, it's pretty rare to be writing by yourself. So most writing on the job is group writing, and so we recognize that by coming into the Writing Center, you get to have you get out of the little, when you start to write, you're in this, the echo chamber of your own head. And it gets a little loud in there sometimes. So by coming into the Writing Center, you can quiet those anxieties and start to get some clarity about what you're trying to do. And students write for every single visit they have with us. They have the opportunity to give us feedback. And they often write things like, I felt better about my paper when I left. I feel less anxious now. I feel like I can handle my project. I know what I need to do next. These are the kinds of things we love to see in those feedback reports. And so we're out there always beating the bushes, trying to get students to come, because once they come one time, they usually want to come back. They recognize the value in it. Amanda and Addison, do you have anything to say briefly about who our consultees are, who comes to the Writing Center?
Yeah, sure. We have all kinds of folks that come in to talk with us. We have everyone from, we've had faculty come in to get an extra set of eyes on things. A lot of freshmen, of course, that's about like half of our consultee base. Because they're still building their college writing skills, and that's kind of a really formative time in working out the mechanics of college writing. We also get postgraduate students. We get people within the campus that are applying for jobs, especially for things after graduation. A lot of seniors come in with things like resumes. There's really no specific demographic that we do or don't cater to, but I like to think that we do our best with whatever people bring in. And I do think, though, that a lot of early writing is kind of where we are most often contacted, I will say.
That was what I would agree with that. I think that, but we also have like a lot of, I've had people who have been habitual users of the Writing Center and kind of come in, every time they have an assignment, and they're seniors now and they're kind of used to the process. So it's really there for everyone at any stage of their process or their career here at William & Mary. We're here for everyone.
Like the Tutor Zone, our services are free to students, so they don't have to pay anything, and they're allowed to make up to 2 appointments per week. and there's no limit to the number of appointments they make in a particular semester, except it has to be 2 a week at the most. Some students are regulars and they make that regular weekly appointment, and some just come as needed. And we see about 10% of the student population. Yeah, I just saw the question. The Writing Center is free also for students. Let's see, I wanted to quickly show you our webpage. So let me share my screen and then we can go to Q&A. So if you want to know more about the Writing Center, you go to this website, wm.edu/AS, which is Arts and Sciences, and /WRC. We are a program of Arts and Sciences. And our landing page gives a little bit of information about our center and shows the Make an Appointment button, which is right here in the middle, because most students do this on their phone. And it used to be over here on the right, and if it's on the right, it shows down at the bottom. So, so we put it so students can make the appointment on their phone. They also have to, once they make an appointment the first time, they make an account, but after that, they never have to do that again. We also have a page here that shows our consultants. It's, we're just very proud of our staff of consultants. They're wonderful young people who have a service mindset, who are really interested in writing and in helping others. Some of them want to be future teachers, but also other things. They come from varied backgrounds. You can see here as I scroll through that they have a lot of different majors. And so, they come to this really with this kind of, this is not the job that they're going to make enough money to pay the rent, They come to this with a service mindset. And so we just like to show this is a really nice group of young people who are helping each other. One of the best advertisements we can give for the Writing Center is that our own consultants use the Writing Center regularly. So I'll just say that that it's a service that anybody can go to when our consultants themselves come. And the other thing I want to show you is our Resources for Writing Success page. And this is just a set of curated links on different topics related to writing and communication. Some of these are really geared toward making that transition from high school to college writing. And some are for just other things, strategies for reading, things about research essays, lots and lots of things about citing sources, because citations are so different in so many different fields. We get lots of questions about citations. People worry about them. So we're a great place to come and just, our consultants don't know everything there is to know about citations, but they know how to help people figure it out. And I think that's actually a more important skill, is to show students where they can go for help and start to figure out the logic of the citation process. Writing for different disciplines, different types of academic writing, tools for English language learners, and writing for jobs and scholarships. So lots of resources there. And that's it. We're happy to take your questions.
Okay, thank you both so much. I feel like I have learned a lot already, and I was just so thrilled to hear from students. So thank you all for sharing your perspective. I'm sure that families are enjoying that as well. We do have some questions, and I'll weave some of my own questions throughout. So I'm going to do a call back to the beginning, Colleen, to something that you mentioned that it kind of stuck out to me. I think it stuck out to someone else. Colleen mentioned that time management coaching through the tutor zone isn't assistance with executive functioning skills. What is the difference, and where can students get support for executive functioning skills?
Sure. So the difference between academic coaching and executive functioning skills are that executive functioning skills are the things that get you through daily life, like waking up, brushing your teeth, taking your medicine, remembering to do hygiene things like that. Whereas academic coaching is more learning time management skills, specifically aimed at academics and social life as a college student, how to balance the work-life balance, as well as different organizational methods, things like that. So coaching is teaching those transferable skills for academics, whereas executive functioning is more day-to-day operation. And I believe students can go to student accessibility services for support with executive functioning, and they might have some great ideas for local resources that can also assist.
Wonderful. Thank you. Also, are there any resources available for students to teach them how to take better notes during lectures, to read on their own? This is kind of a two-part question, that being the first one, and the second being, how do we assist students with reading comprehension? Is there somewhere for them to go if that's something that they may be struggling with or they know they need a little bit of assistance with?
So for note-taking and reading comprehension, every student is going to have a different combination of methods and strategies that work best for them. So for someone in that situation that might be struggling to grasp everything they're reading, because they're going to be reading a lot in college, or struggling to figure out the best method for note-taking in a particular class, academic coaching can be helpful, because this allows the student to meet with one consistent person throughout the semester and try out different methods and different suggestions to see what really works for them. I currently have a coach right now who is giving his coachee little 5-minute lectures on different topics and having him use different note-taking methods, and then seeing what he can relay back to him at the end to see what type of note-taking method is most effective for him. So we do offer support services like that.
I think something that I want to make note of that I've heard throughout all of your responses this evening and your explanations is how personalized the approach is for each student. I think it's really important for families to understand that each and every student will approach learning and the academic space very differently, and that these coaching appointments and the resources that they're utilizing, some may work for one student, but maybe isn't the most effective or helpful for another student. And so exploring all of these resources, especially when they find themselves in need of assistance or they want to be proactive about their academic well-being, can really be beneficial to students. So just knowing that some of these great resources will be super great and impactful for your student, and maybe they won't be for another student, and just recognizing that a little trial and error can really go a long way when exploring some of these resources. Okay. Looking at my list of questions, for a Call 150 class, is it better to do a one-on-one tutoring session or go to the writing center?
I think I'll jump in here. Most of the assignments in the Call 150 classes are writing assignments. So the primary form of assessment in a Call 150 class is writing. And so we see those students at the writing center. That's typically where you go. Whereas for the tutor zone, that's going to be subject specific tutoring. So when they need help with economics or calculus, that's where they go to the tutor zone. So usually they'll make appointments at the writing center. And in fact, we advertise, we have these lovely little postcards that we send out to all students in the Call 150 classes to help them understand that we're the place to go. We like to get them early when they first come to William and Mary, so they know they can use us throughout. And then they, sometimes they take a little break in their junior year, and then they come back for their capstone project or their honors thesis in their senior year.
Wonderful. Thank you. Another person asks, do you have a list of tutors for hire, especially for Spanish? I think I've seen this question twice. So Spanish seems to be like a hot topic at the moment.
So we don't have a list of tutors for hire. Students are able to make scheduled appointments through the website. So your student can log in or make their account by making their first appointment. We do have a bunch of Spanish tutors, and we also offer group tutoring for Spanish, which can be helpful to discuss topics and have conversation with other people in the same level of Spanish. And they would just make appointments for the one-on-one through our website. So we've already hired them. You all don't have to. And then the group tutoring is completely walk-in.
Wonderful.
I just want to add to that.
Oh, go ahead, Adrienne. So sorry.
Our website is super easy to use. It's just a search bar. And so you can browse all of our classes. You could type in Spanish or Hispanic Studies, and it'll pull up all the classes that we offer. So definitely check that out.
Great advice. Yes, Colleen has done the hard work for us, and that she has vetted and hired and trained lots of tutors, which makes it great for students. They don't have to do any of that vetting on their own. They don't have to do reference checks on peer tutors. It's all there. And Colleen has done some of that hard work for us. Great question I see just popped in, but I just want to weave one of my own in here. So if there are questions that families want to ask our panelists, please do go ahead and type those in. I'll make sure we have enough time to cover as many as we can. I'm really in particular want to hear from the students on the call. You know, this is a group of parents, families, and supporters of our undergraduate students. And I know we talked a little bit about that anxiety around attending that first appointment or signing up to utilize this service. So what advice would you give to the families on the call who may be interested in approaching this topic with their student or would like to suggest these resources to their student? What advice would you give this group?
Well, I'm happy. Oh, sorry. I'm happy to start there. I was very nervous for my first appointment at the Writing Center, and my first appointment was during my time as a trainee. So I completely understand the anxiety about entering a new space and meeting someone you've never met before and sharing your writing with them, which can be a very vulnerable process. And accepting critique and advice can also be just a process that you have to learn and engage with. So I would say advising your students to maybe consider seeing us early and continuing to see us is a great way for them to become comfortable with us. I would say about 75% of my consultations in the beginning of the year, especially most of this fall semester, are freshmen coming in for 150 courses. And I think in the past few weeks, I think I've only had first-time visitors. So we get it, and we're happy to, really help you along that. And we know that you don't know what to expect from our appointments, and we'll try to make that process really easy for you. But if it's still something that causes anxiety, I would recommend going to our resources online, because oftentimes that can solve a lot of questions that maybe wouldn't require an hour's worth of consulting, things like quick citation questions and grammar, or even just sort of perusing things at your own pace and coming in to talk to us about them is also a great idea.
Adrian?
Sure. So I remember earlier, I think Amanda said that a lot of or maybe it was Lori, said that a lot of the consultants actually utilize the services of the Writing Center. And the same thing is true for the Tutor Zone. I know even a few people I tutored last year ended up applying as tutors this year. And a lot of the tutors who work for us also make appointments. I've made appointments. And I think a common anxiety of making a tutoring appointment is that you feel like you're doing badly, so then you want to make the appointment. But a lot of our students are actually being proactive, and I think that that's really valuable. Let's see. I think I wanted one more thing to add, but now I'm not sure if I remember. I think also as tutors, it's a little nerve-wracking to meet someone for the first time. But one thing that is helpful is that even though the students are bringing questions to us and kind of, like I said, leading the appointment, while they book the appointment, they put a little blurb about what they'd like to cover in the session. And so the tutor is able to like review or know what to come to the appointment prepared with. And then the tutee also has an idea of what's going to be covered in the session. And so having that information is valuable, I think, as well. And then you're prepared for the appointment better.
I can jump in for one last thing about anxiety. When I had my appointment, I had a similar experience to Amanda. All of the trainees are required to go to the Writing Center. It's our first assignment in the class is to be a consultee in an appointment. And it was terrifying for me. I was very scared to do it. I had scheduled an appointment my fall semester, and I had gotten the day of, and I canceled it because I was like, I just can't do this. And I ended up going and talking about my ideas with someone who was really nice, and who I, to this day, like love and respect very much. And it made me feel so much better about my writing and my experience. It was one of the best, I feel like, papers I ever produced and the best pieces of writing I ever had, because I had someone who went through it with me, and it has really taken down that fear for me. So I will say, once you get through the first appointment, you will see how, like, how relaxed the experience is, and it will get easier to do. I know the first step is really hard, but it is so much nicer kind of once you get over that.
That is wonderful advice. I also just kind of want to echo the thought that sometimes there can be an impression that these resources and services should be utilized when students already find themselves maybe struggling a little bit, that that's the time to utilize these services. But I think what all of our fantastic student panelists have said is that early and often is a really great way to engage with many of these services and resources. So even if a student is like, I'm fine, you talk to them on the phone, you do your daily FaceTime, and they're like, classes are going great. All of my papers are wonderful. Things are just great. They can still really benefit from some of these services. And also that makes it easier when maybe they do have something that's kind of a roadblock for them in a course or somewhere down the road. Maybe they do get to that 4th year and it's that big project. Having already been to these services and being familiarized with walking into the space, making the appointment, having those conversations can make those tough times a little bit easier. So would definitely recommend that you encourage your students to utilize these services as a proactive means of academic support and not just when they find themselves struggling mid or in semester. I'll also just shamelessly plug here, the last webinar in our webinar series is going to be a panelist of our Wellness Center colleagues talking about supporting your student through exam burnout. I think that's a great conversation if you're listening and you're looking for some more of that wellness conversation around how do we support students who may have anxiety around this academic space and who may be struggling with overwhelm, stress, and burden around their academic workload or just the academic experience itself. We will have every holistic wellness panel in November. So November 30th is when that conversation will be. But we also have tons of resources on our William & Mary website. If you do a quick search in the search bar for resources that can support your student through their holistic wellness as they engage in this academic experience. So I will hop back into our questions. Colleen, we have a few questions about tutors. So you may be answering a few. She takes a sip of water. So once you begin with a tutor, and Adrian, you're welcome to answer some of these questions as well. Once you begin with a tutor, are you having follow-up appointments with the same tutor or is it a different tutor? How does that consistency look from appointment to appointment?
Sure. So when a student goes in and selects the date and time, or selects the date and class for the appointment they'd like to have, a drop-down menu of all of the available tutors will appear. And if a student has particularly enjoyed or gotten value out of meeting with one specific tutor, they can schedule with that person again. If maybe the way that tutor taught it didn't really click, they can pick a new tutor. So it's about finding that fit, and you can really build a great relationship with the tutor if you do continue to schedule with the same one. Oh my gosh, something was in my head and it completely just flew out. I bet I will remember it later.
It'll come back to you. It'll come back. So how are tutors paid, or are they paid? I know we covered this, but I'm going to ask the question anyways.
So all of our tutors and staff are paid. They are paid through the parent fund. So all of the parent and family donations, we use a portion of them to be able to provide free tutoring by paying our staff that does these wonderful services.
Wonderful, wonderful. Do you have a sense of what percentage of William & Mary students utilize the Writing Resources Center and the Tutor Zone?
It's about 10% of our undergraduate population that uses the Writing Resources Center every year.
Last academic year, about 1,000 students used the Tutor Zone. So William & Mary has, give or take, 6,000 undergrads, so that would be about 1 in 6 students that use our services.
Wonderful, thank you. Colleen and Lori, I'll ask you the same question I asked the students. So we have parents and families on our call this evening. What advice would you give to them as they engage with their students around conversations about academic support, academic well-being, How can families maybe have a proactive conversation if, maybe they're waiting for student to say, I'm struggling a little bit here, or I'm not navigating this the way I hoped? How can they maybe have more proactive conversations with their student about utilizing and taking advantage of all of these great resources?
I will speak from a place of sympathy. I am the mom of a young man who is a junior in college and another young man who's a senior in high school. So I'm where you are. And I know that that those conversations can be hard. And what we know in the Writing Center is that students listen to their peers perhaps more than to the rest of us. And so I would suggest saying, what is your roommate doing? What are your friends doing about their studies? And just see if others have had that. Are one of the most important ways we get students into the Writing Center is by word of mouth. And so that might be a way to get into that conversation as well. A piece of advice that I always give when I get the chance to speak to students is that the Writing Center, it's very important to know that you can come in at any stage of your writing process. And so I recommend that students, when they first get that assignment, they go ahead and make an appointment. Let's say they make an appointment for a week later. And they make a plan for what they want to accomplish in that week. I'm going to read the thing. I'm going to take some notes. I'm going to have an outline. Maybe I'll even have a draft. And the day of the appointment comes and they haven't done those things, because that happens, they should come to the appointment anyway, because they will make progress in that hour that they're at the Writing Center. So just using the Writing Center as a tool to manage time and productivity, right, and to avoid some of the, the tendency to procrastinate. There's a lot of fun stuff going on at William and Mary, and people get really busy. And so learning how to manage your time effectively is important, and the Writing Center can help in that particular way. So that's another idea. Don't cancel your appointment the way Addison did in the fall of her freshman year. Just go ahead anyway.
I would say for the tutor zone, it is similar to what Adrienne said, that like you don't have to be doing poorly to use the services. For example, the vast majority of students that used the tutor zone last year had a cumulative GPA of a 3.0 or above. So it is a lot of students that have a B and want to get to an A. Students are always welcome to come in if they aren't doing well as well, but we're trying very hard to remove that stigma that reaching out and going to appointments means that you're struggling, because that is not necessarily the case. Another piece is that the tutor zone is also not remedial. So for example, if maybe the way that your student's professor just isn't clicking, like just the way they're presenting the information isn't clicking, maybe the professor who taught that tutor had a learning or teaching style that worked better for your student. So talking to that tutor might be able to help shed some light on the topics that just aren't clicking as well from the professor. Which could start with a conversation about, how do you like your professors, which is sometimes a little bit easier of a question to ask than, do you think you're going to fail? So that can be a good pathway to get into, I heard the Writing Center and the tutor zone have a lot of great students who have taken classes with a bunch of different professors. Maybe go talk to them for advice, set up an appointment. I would also say to remind them that if they are struggling, they are far from the only ones that are. I frequently tell students that everyone here acts like they have straight A's all the time. The fact that I have a job in academic support proves that that is in fact not true. So they are not alone if they feel that they are struggling academically. And there are tons of people who it is our entire job to support them. They might not want to go to it at first, but like Lori said, word of mouth gets around that we actually are helpful. And students come in that way a lot. But we found that encouragement from family to use services and that it doesn't mean you're doing poorly can be helpful as well.
Wonderful. Thank you. I think that's a great place for us to close on. I don't see too many more lingering questions. If you do have questions that we weren't able to cover, you can always email us at families@wm.edu, and I'll do my best to point you in the right direction, or I may know the answer myself. I learned a lot in this 45 minutes, so I may be able to answer the question for you. If not, you can also reach out to each of these respective units. Their contact information is on the website. I will just say we strategically scheduled this session before fall break. I know many of you will be having conversations with your students about how are things going? How are you liking your professors? I know it can be hard to talk about some of these topics, especially if your student maybe isn't living up to their own expectations, which can be something that's challenging for them to own up to or talk to you about. So just asking those open-ended questions. What's your favorite course? How are your professors? What area do you feel like you're strongest in this semester? What area do you feel like you need a little bit of support this semester? And really just knowing that you have two great resources, the Tutor Zone and the Writing Resources Center, that you can share with your student if they are needing a little bit of support or they want to take advantage of the resources available to them. But just want to say a big thank you to Addison, Amanda, Adrienne, Colleen, and Lori for joining us this evening. This session was recorded. It will be uploaded to our YouTube channel in just a couple days, probably not tomorrow, but maybe Monday or Tuesday. So you can see it there. You can access this webinar and any of our previous webinars there. And I look forward to seeing you on our next one. So hope everyone has a great evening. Thank you. Bye.